Welcome to Shapers of the Snow, a show dedicated to the small independent builders handcrafting skis and snowboards around the world. We sit down with the shapers to hear how they got started, the art behind their craft, the real challenges they face, and what continues to fuel their passion for creating shapes for the snow. Grab a beer or a coffee, and let's get on with the show. Hello everyone, and today we have Zach from...
Type 2 Ski Co.
All right, how you doing today?
I'm very good. How are you?
Not too bad. All right, so I got some questions for you. A little background. How did you get into skiing and what eventually made you want to stop buying skis and start making your own?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm located just outside Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Pretty well known for being flat, I would say, not necessarily known for its mountains, but my parents got a timeshare at Smuggler's Notch in Vermont. And so we had this big family vacation planned for Smuggler's Notch when I was about, I think, maybe 6 or 7 years old. And they said, okay, we got to get Zachy on skis. And I think it was like a couple months before that trip when I was 6 or 7 that they got me on skis. It wasn't great, but we went to Smuggler's Notch that year and I was in ski lessons and I kind of just picked it up from there. And we ended up going to Smugs every year the same week, basically since I was a kid up until today. Like we still go every March, week 9. And so that is kind of my home mountain in Vermont, even though I'm not from there. I'm from Ontario. And so, yeah, it was just like growing up, going on ski trips, being in lessons every year, and then just coming back and kind of skiing locally once in a while. Kind of through that, I swam growing up too. I was like a pretty high level swimmer. And so up until I was about a teenager, we were going to Smugs every year skiing. And then I kind of got away from skiing as I got into my like high school years because I was taking the swimming really seriously, didn't want to get injured, didn't want to take time away from training and all that kind of thing. In the meantime, I had become so confident or competent at skiing that skiing like around Ontario was boring. So I actually snowboarded for a couple of years, which is crazy to look back on. But as an adult, we were still going to Smugs as a family. And it became kind of like a guy's trip. Basically, it'd be like me, my brother, my dad, and a couple buddies would go every year. And as I became an adult and I wasn't swimming anymore, I was like, okay, like I'll start coming back on these trips again. I snowboarded, I think, the first year I went. And I was nowhere near as good a snowboarder as I was a skier. And so the second year going back as an adult, I was like, okay, like I'll try skiing this year. And so like borrowed gear from friends. And then we were kind of going up the mountain for the first time. I'm like, okay, guys, like I just want to take an easy run, like maybe do a green and just like see if I can still do this because it had been a while. We kind of come around the corner on the cat track of the green and we cross underneath the lift line. And lift line is black diamond, and I kind of stand on the top. I'm like, okay, I actually felt pretty good there, so let's just go nail this black diamond. Then I dropped in, and I skied it no problem, and then I was just like back in love with skiing, and it built from there. So through college and kind of like early career, we were getting old enough to travel on our own. And so like me, my brother, my buddies, we would start traveling out west a lot more. So going to places like Jackson Hole, Big Sky, Revelstoke. We would do some like smaller trips out east into Quebec at like Le Massif, and just like really getting into spending money on skiing and like it being a pretty big part of our lives. Like we would save up for the whole year to kind of go on a few ski trips every year and just like really enjoying it. And then obviously you kind of go through, like you get a little bit of money in your pocket. You're at the ski resorts, you look around and you kind of want to see like what the cool gear is. And so I went from like twin tip park skis to powder skis. I think the first pair of skis were like Salomon Q115s I got that were like my skis, obviously, because you have to ski POW skis, even though I don't think I'd ever skied like actual POW in my life. Predictably, I had a pretty tough time skiing them. Big long radius, huge fat skis, skiing like tight trees in Vermont or Quebec. And I'm like, man, these are like pretty brutal to ski. I gotta get rid of these. And I finally came across, and so I was doing all this research and I had like demoed a couple pairs of like the Rognall Sky 7s and Soul 7s around that kind of vintage. And they were okay, but I went to a ski swap. So we have like the Toronto ski show every year, and you usually go and you can get a decent deal on skis. I came across a pair of K2 Pinnacle 95s, and they had like demo bindings on them already because they were, I assume, a demo pair of skis. I think I got them for like $300. And I was like, okay, like these are pretty good. They're like I think they're wide enough for any deep snow I might get. They have like a deep enough side cut that it's still, I'll be able to like carve on them. They'll be maneuverable in tight trees, all this stuff. I'm like, and they're $300, perfect. I'll get these. And they ended up just like totally changing how I approached skiing, and especially being somebody that traveled predominantly to do most of their skiing, like didn't really ski locally, but would plan these big trips. When you plan a trip a few months in advance, you don't really know what the weather's going to be like. And so the conditions are always going to be variable. Packing skis with you on a trip, like you're usually only going to bring one pair, maybe two. And so I think it was that year, it was our first trip to Revelstoke. And, we were skiing groomers or skiing like skied out trees, and the skis were great. And then we did this hike into the back bowl, and they had gotten a little bit of snow the week before, but the back bowl was still decent. And like I had no problem skiing in the deeper snow with these skis. And I was just like, oh my God, these have like totally changed the way that I am approaching skiing and I approach buying skis. And it just occurred to me in that moment, I'm like, why were these skis like never sold to me this way? Right? Like, why was I never marketed to as someone that, spends money on skiing, loves the sport, but only has kind of these short windows to do it and to like maximize my time and my enjoyment on the mountain. Like, get skis that are going to be easy to ski, are going to perform well in most conditions. Don't buy a powder ski, or don't buy like the most technical race ski. Like, get something that you're going to enjoy, that's going to be easy to ski, that you're going to like get the most of your vacation time. And so that kind of like, I think that was 2019. And so that kind of like got the wheels turning in my head about, oh, like this is a pretty interesting way to approach skiing. At the same time, I was getting early in my career. I went to school for mechanical engineering originally, and then got a degree in business as well. And I just wasn't having like a great time working full time in an office doing stuff that I didn't really necessarily feel like I cared about. I always had this kind of like entrepreneurial itch as well. I felt like I really like skiing. There was all these forums online about like how to build your own skis. So like the information was there. People do it in their garage. So I was like, I knew that it could be done in their garage. And I had the background to actually pull it off with the mechanical engineering. And, you take like woodworking in high school, and I was good enough at it and I was like comfortable with woodworking tools. And so it was like all of these things kind of combined that led me to starting, or at least trying to start, a ski company, but with this kind of very specific lens of targeting people that aren't usually targeted in like traditional ski marketing. The making of the skis is one part of it, but then the niching down to like people that aren't ski core, right? Like I feel like a lot of ski marketing is kind of like ski core oriented, and just trying to do something different in that lens. And so that's kind of how it all got started. And the idea came to me going on like 6 or 7 years ago now. It's like taken a while to come to fruition, but we're going into our second year of sales this season coming up. And yeah, so just getting really excited and really trying to fine tune that message and kind of find our customers and spread that message.
Yeah, trying to find your lane and trying to
exactly.
reach out and let people know that what you're making.
Exactly.
The name Type 2, that comes from trying to reach out to those type of skiers, not the Type 3 that jump off cliffs, but the more on the checklist, Type 1, Type 2, Type 3.
That is something that I have gotten, and that was not the original inspiration for the name.
Okay.
So the first year that we were in Revelstoke, we had a friend that had like moved to Whistler, and so he was living in Whistler, and he was actually skiing my Solomon Q115s and having a bit better luck. and they held up really well. He kind of introduced us to this idea of type 2 fun. And so like type 1 fun, I guess, and I think I would butcher this still, but like type 1 fun is kind of that instant gratification, like going on a roller coaster or whatever it is. And type 2 fun is something that requires a little bit of work, right? Or like the fun like is the working. And so like backcountry skiing was this example of type 2 fun that we all kind of had in our minds. I like having that athletic background and still being into kind of like fitness. I always saw these like kind of like slack country hikes as just a way to like, I don't know, get your steps in or do some little bit of exercise extra. And you kind of earn your turns, and two, you can afford like a couple extra beers or like a nice big meal afterwards as well. You kind of burn that calorie. So the name type 2 was originally inspired by like type 2 fun, with this idea is like, oh yeah, like maybe I'll make backcountry skis or whatever it is. And that's not the case as it is now. Not saying that we won't in the future, but it was originally inspired by type 2 fun. But the name stuck with me because of the like alliteration, like the T and the T type 2. I feel like it kind of like rolls off the tongue. It just kind of stuck. It was something that I liked. I felt like it was catchy enough. It like sounded kind of like a ski company in my opinion. I had thrown around other ideas like Freedom Skis. Brand name skis was another one that I thought of, like literally just calling them brand name. I don't know, kind of like counter-culturally or like just weirdness, but I figured, okay, like type 2 is pretty good. I came up with the logo. It looked good on a hat, and I just kind of like went with it without thinking too much about it. But as we're kind of like grinding or kind of carving out the brand, it occurred to me to try and create like a language within the industry of like what a type 2 skier is. And so like a type 1 skier might be like that ski core kind of person where they either like grew up in mountain towns or uprooted their life to move to a mountain town and like make skiing their whole life. And that's kind of like, that is one type of skier, right? But there's a second type of skier, the type of skier that saves up all year. I made a video about this, but basically like skiing is pretty high on your priority list, but it not to the point where you're going to like move away from your family and friends, and like your career is still important to you, but you still like really love skiing. And so you like take the money that you earn and you spend it on ski vacations and you invest in gear, but you're just not like uprooting your whole life to do it. And so I'm trying to kind of make that definition like that's a type 2 skier, right? Like there's one type of skier, they're this way, and then there's type 2 skiers, and we love skiing just as much.
Definitely. And there's probably more type 2 skiers out there than type 1.
And there are more type 2 skiers than there are type 1. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and that's the idea, right? And it seems to me at least that like ski marketing is only pointed towards like ski core. Like it's all kind of tailored to these hardcore people that are like really into the technical side of their gear. They know all the lingo. They're skiing 100 days a year and what have you. And like as someone that is a type 2 skier, I was like, well, like what about me? Like I feel like I have money to spend. Like don't any of these companies want me to spend their money, on their products? Like why is no one speaking my language? And so that's kind of the idea with type 2 and the marketing and sales side of things, and then also creating products that fit what we're trying to achieve as well.
Looks like you started in your friend's garage.
Yes.
Are you still there, or do you have your own shop now?
Yeah, I have my own shop. It is another friend's garage technically, but it's not. I'm paying like pretty close to market rate for rent, so it's not like I'm getting like a deal or anything. But yeah, I started in my buddy's garage. So I was living with him at the time. He owned a place, and we were actually working at the same company when I first started. But lucky for me, he was into woodworking. So he had a lot of like woodworking tools. He had like the table saw, the chop saw, he's got routers, band saws, all this stuff. And I was and he's a mechanical guy as well. He's an actual mechanical engineer. I'm not technically a mechanical engineer. I don't have the the ring. He's an actual mechanical engineer, and he's into this stuff, and he snowboards. And I was just like, man, like, would you mind if I kind of take like some garage space and build a ski press? And he's kind of like, what the fuck? Like, yeah, I guess, right? Like, if you want, that's fine. And like, there's nothing against that wall in there, so go for it, right? And he's like, what's a ski press too? I'm like, oh, it's just some I-beams. Like, don't worry about it. And so I kind of like built the ski press. And then I started kind of like just taking up more and more space in his garage and pushing his shit to the other side slowly and kind of like carving out I mean, honestly, it was probably like 200 square feet in there to begin with to make my first couple pairs. I was working off the floor entirely for the first like 2 years of just fiddling around. And like at the beginning, I'm not in there every day like working on skis, right? It's like on the weekends, and sometimes I would go a month without touching it. It was just kind of like this slow roll, right? But when I was working on the floor. Finally, I was able to buy a table from Canadian Tire, final sale. I got a decent deal on it. And then I was working like every process off of the one table. And so I would put the template out to cut the core with the router, and I would do that. Move the router off, clean up, and then put the next template on for the base to cut out, and then do that and clean up. And so it was just like, it was taking me like probably like 25 hours of labor in this garage to like get a single ski out. Finally, last year, and so I actually moved out of his place and still kept half the garage, but I was kind of able to get to a point where I was making skis to the quality that I thought that I would feel comfortable selling, right? The whole point of this is that I wanted to be able to sell something that would be like comparable to what you would like go to a ski shop and see from like on like the higher end of those on that wall. But so I wanted to like get away from wood sidewalls pretty quickly. I wanted to like have graphics and not just like kind of a wood veneer. Because I do want to be like, again, like I want to have like a competitive product and from that standpoint. And so once I got to a place and a design that I was like, okay, like this feels really good. It skis really well. It holds up really well. I think I would feel comfortable selling this. That's when I said, okay, let's try and sell these. And then I was able to move out of my friend's garage into another space that has kind of a little bit more space for one. I can like do the cores in one section. I can cut the bases out, and I can have a bandsaw and all this kind of stuff of my own. And I'm also not in his garage because at the same time, like he got a serious girlfriend living in there with him, and she's probably like, who the fuck is this guy? Like literally coming over every day and working in the garage, right? Like who is this guy in the garage every day? And like coming through the house, because some of his woodworking tools are in the basement. And so I would be like in the garage being like, hey, can I come in and use the table saw to cut some cores? Yeah, sure. Okay, thanks. Right. So wanting to get away from that as well, I am in my own shop now where I don't have to ask permission.
That's good. Having different stations also probably cut down production time too.
Speeds up the process a bit. Yeah, absolutely.
Now for construction method, you want to make a high-end ski. What kind of composites are you using? Using Titnol, any metal, carbon fiber, triax, biax?
So there's not any of the higher end like Titnol. Have you seen my video Titanal?
Yeah.
Okay. No Titanal, no carbon fiber, strictly because of cost. Because I think the other thing too is like, because I've been making them on my own, I need to be like responsible, at least in kind of that entry level point for the brand. Like I need to make a ski that is not like $1,500 Canadian or $1,000 US, right? Like I want to be in that range. So, or in the kind of in the range of like a J skis, even on the high end. And I know that they have Titanal in their skis. But something that you'd see on the wall, like a Atomic Ben Shetler, kind of that like 800 to 900, 800 to $1,000 Canadian. So maybe like 650 to 800 US. I want to be in that range. And so that kind of dictates what you can make skis out of to be profitable. I also think the whole tight anal thing, it's like a fad. I think that like ski companies are kind of chasing around like technological breakthroughs, and there's just not really that much there from a construction standpoint that is going to like fundamentally change the quality of a ski. Like it's not like an iPhone. You know what I mean? Like there's not material science breakthroughs every year that we're making to justify like needing a new pair of skis every year. And so I also like the idea of making them out of kind of like simple, high quality material. And so from that standpoint, I use Triax fiberglass for everything so far. And keep in mind, like, this is still a very new company. Last year, I made all the skis myself. This year, I'm working with a manufacturing partner, but sticking with the Triax fiberglass, like 100% wood cores, so either poplar or maple. But then we have like the 4005 Durasurf base UHMW sidewall tip and tail fill. I don't know the exact product name of the top sheet, but I think it's like an ISO Sport top sheet.
Nylon.
What's that? Yeah, I don't think it's nylon. I think it might be PBT. The philosophy is that it's kind of like the best skis, or the skis that sell the most, are not necessarily like the top of the line, best material, space age stuff. It's like, how are you relating to that brand? And is the ski going to hold up to like the kind of terrain and the type of skiing that you're going for? And like most people don't need like a 2100 gram, 2 full sheets of tight anal skis. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Where they don't need a 1500 gram touring ski, right? They need something that's heavy enough to be stable, light enough to be comfortable and be able to ski a long time on, like all day. And to kind of like to hit that product in that frame, I didn't think that I needed to introduce carbon fiber or tight anal into the design yet. Obviously, you do want to, like, if we're going to have like a competitive ski, you want to be able to offer that stuff. But for right now, I think that like the Triax fiberglass wood core, like VDS rubber and stuff is in there as well for adhesion and dampening. But trying to really create like a ski that resonates with people and not necessarily just like satisfies their need for new technology. Because I have an anecdote for you too on that point. Like, I think maybe over the last like 5 or 6 years, like tight anal has become just like this whole thing, and every fucking ski company now has TI. Now ski companies are taking tight anal out of skis and marketing it as a technological breakthrough. And I think that shows to me, at least, it's like, okay, we're just kind of like going around like copying each other. Like it's not a technology project. It's not like an engineering project. It's like skis are from like a material science standpoint, like pretty much solved. Like we're innovating when it comes to like shape. We're innovating when it comes to like sustainable materials and stuff like that. Our recycling programs, but it's not an iPhone.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do with what's out there.
Yeah. It's like golf clubs too. Like every year a new golf club comes out and you're adding distance or whatever it is. But I mean, like Tiger Woods with his clubs in the year 2000 are going to beat me every day.
Yeah. And you said you're partnering with the manufacturing?
Yeah. So this year, what happened last year? So I lean into the social media side of things too, right? And trying to kind of create ski content that isn't just like clip farming. So it's like not just big spins or not just like cliff drops, pow days, all this kind of thing, like stuff that I guess is more relatable. And I'm still trying to figure that out too. But part of the social media side of things for me is like documenting, building the business, how I build skis, and kind of like my story, I guess, right? figuring out a ski construction and design that I felt comfortable selling coincided with me kind of like taking a step up in the social media side of things. And so last summer, my following grew from, I think, like 200 people to around 2,000. And there was like a lot of demand, not a lot of demand. There was some demand there for skis to buy. And so I was like, okay, fuck, like if I'm going to do this and be serious about it, like I might as well start now when people are asking for them. Right. And so last year was the first year that we put the skis on sale. I got all these orders and then I found myself basically working like 18 hours a day trying to build these skis and get them out the door. I still work full time. So I have a day job, which I'm on lunch break for right now. Like last winter, between Labor Day and Christmas Day, I think I had like 3 days where I didn't go to the shop. And most of those days I was like waking up before work, going to the shop, getting a ski in the press, coming home, working all day, going back at night or in the afternoon, taking the ski out, putting another ski into the press, coming home, eating dinner, and then going back at like 11:30 to take that ski out of the press. That's way too much for me personally. If I was doing it full time, that would be one thing. That was way too much. And I was not charging enough to justify all the labor. And so basically I lost lots of money, which is pretty like expected, I think, for the first year of a ski company. But I lost lots of money and I was like, man, I really don't want to be like building this many skis myself with the limited kind of like setup that I have. Like if I had a full factory with a team of people, like that would be one thing. But I wanted to be able to sell skis kind of like what we were talking about in that kind of price range. And I realized that if I'm going to be building these skis myself, I can't be working for free if I want to make it like an actual business at some point. And the only way to keep the cost in kind of a reasonable range for that entry level ski was to get some help with the manufacturing. Because basically if I can outsource that manufacturing, I can like take advantage of their process, right? And so what might take me like 15 hours of labor to build a ski might only take if they have automation set up or if they have like a more efficient process, it might only take them 5 hours of labor, right? And so now instead of paying myself 15 hours of labor, I'm paying somebody else 5 hours of labor. The material costs are basically the same. And so I saw that as a way to be able to offer like an entry level model into the lineup. And that is the Twins. So this year, the Twins are made by a manufacturing partner out west. And those are it's a redesign from last year, but last year I started with like an all-mountain twin. And so that is what is coming out this year as well. And then we're introducing a directional ski, like an all-mountain directional ski, and then a wider swallowtail. And so I'm still going to make the directional skis and the swallowtails myself at my shop, but I have to kind of not work for free. And so the price of those ones are a little bit higher. But the idea is that the Twins can be kind of like that entry level point for the brand, but you can still buy a ski if you want it like made by me specifically. That is still an option. And that way too, there's like flexibility in graphics if you want custom graphics. And even construction, like we can make it stiffer or softer based on the weight of the skier, if they're a guy or girl, that kind of thing too.
So those would be a bit more custom skis.
They're not custom. Like I still have a design, like a set design and sizes, but they're like customizable in some ways if you want, but they're also just like, here's the ski.
Okay. So you're going to outsource some, but still be making some of your own.
Yeah.
That's a good middle ground.
Mm-hmm. And I plan on, like, I always want to make my own skis or like make skis myself. As much as I complain about all the time and all that kind of stuff there, like, I don't think I've ever enjoyed work more than like actually building the stuff, right? I like daydream about like, oh my God, imagine like if I could just do this all day, right? Or if I could just like spend my time doing this. So I still really enjoy it. But for the future of the company, I'm going to try to outsource kind of those entry level models like we were talking about. And then for the higher end stuff or like the hand built stuff by me, I want to start telling basically building a special edition ski every year and kind of like building in storytelling and the content side of those to each kind of each year of those special edition skis. And so one example that I may get to this year, but definitely in the near future, is like a project that I would call From Tree to Ski. And so basically going and like finding a tree, partnering with like a forestry company or like a sustainable forestry company, and like going and finding a tree and like following the entire value chain from like cutting down that tree, turning it into lumber, and then turning that lumber into like a short run of skis. And so documenting that whole process, like doing research and documenting what sustainable like forestry looks like. And so making like special edition skis from that tree, special edition graphic, and selling them that way. And I think for me, like I like that version of building skis more than just mass producing as many as I can myself. And I think it's really cool to like be in touch with like how that anything you use, but like where like the materials are coming from and like who's touching it and who's involved with that and like what goes into that, right? So it's like a good opportunity for like education and then just like be in touch with the products that you're using, which I think is
Yeah,
pretty cool.
that is. That's a good way to, show the process because a lot of people don't understand what really goes into making the skis. So showing like just getting the lumber to our core, how many steps necessary to get to that one piece.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And that goes into like the social side of things too and content, where I try to create like as many how-to guides of how to build skis, right? Because like I learned to build skis from internet forums and from YouTube, right? And so there's all of these old forums on the internet from like the early 2000s to like the mid 2010s maybe, where guys are like building skis in their garage and like documenting the whole process. And then the YouTube side of things too, where people are doing the same thing a little bit later on. But I would like to kind of almost have like a database or like a collection of content where people can come and like if they're interested learn how to build their own skis and like learn how I figured out the process as well.
Yeah, educational videos.
Yeah.
Yeah, and was that forum ski builders?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Definitely that was one of them.
I was active during those
Okay.
years. Yeah,
Okay.
you probably saw some of my posts.
The guys that started O&3P were like building O&3P skis on that ski forum too,
Yep, they were.
which is so sick.
Yeah, he was a new schoolers mod too, and he was posting on both, like sharing the
Yeah, okay,
process.
yeah, because New Schoolers is another one that I spent a lot of time on.
Yep, probably saw my post on there too.
Probably. So you've built your own skis as well.
But yeah, I stopped around COVID, but I was probably around 35 pairs.
Okay.
Recently made another pair for a colleague of mine this year. Then I kind of been making snowboards too and power surfers, kind of like everything.
Yeah. Do you still ski on your own skis?
Yep,
Okay.
I'm still seeing the last pair I made before COVID pretty much messed up everything from 2019. I'm still skiing on those. Yeah, it's kind of a shame that ski builders is kind of just gone because that was
Yeah.
a great resource for like a lot of people when they want to learn. It's kind of one reason why I started this podcast because like kind of missed that, like be able to go talk to other builders, get their ideas, their thoughts, their
Yeah.
philosophies. So
Yeah,
it's like
100%.
well, I can just reach out to people and talk to them because that's
Yeah.
kind of what was missing, I think.
100%. Because there's like, I had a huge problem. So I touched on that I didn't want to use wood sidewalls. the first pair of skis that I built had wood sidewalls, but it was because I couldn't figure out how to get like the UHMW to stick to the wood core. And this is like inside baseball, but I guess UHMW from like on a molecular level has like very long molecules. And so in general, it doesn't stick to other stuff well at all. To the point where a lot of the times, like if there's processes that are using epoxy or adhesives, they'll use a sheet of UHMW as a workbench so the epoxy doesn't stick to the workbench and they can clean it off easy. And so it introduces this problem. It's like, okay, well, how are you going to use like a material that performs well in the case of skis, right? Like high impact resistance, tough, like can add torsional stability, all this stuff. From a function standpoint, it doesn't like stick. Like you can't actually build it. And so I had to build my first pairs of skis with wood sidewalls because I couldn't figure out how to get the UHMW to stick. And it was only going to like for a ski factory tour. And I was like, oh, like you guys use UHMW sidewall. Like, how do you get it to stick? And he's just like, oh, we use this glue. And it was like cyanoacrylate glue. So obviously I'm like, what the fuck is cyanoacrylate glue? So I Google it and it's just like super glue. So super glue is like the secret sauce to get this to stick. And now there's like, you have to prepare the bonding surfaces as well, which is kind of an ode to my career in engineering. But for anybody listening that's interested, you sand the UHMW, and basically what that is doing is like breaking those long chain molecules into shorter chains, which then give the adhesive something to actually adhere to. And so you sand the surface and then you have to flame treat it. And I actually still don't know what the flame treat actually does. But the flame treat does something else. Do you know?
I believe it relaxes the plastic so it becomes porous, allows it to adhere like a
Okay.
penetration.
So it's kind of like increasing the adhesion coefficient, if that's even a thing, of the surface, and then you can use super glue to glue it together. And you can get bonds with that are like that's stronger than the wood grain itself. So like in a lot of my bench tests, I'll take a piece of core and I'll glue the UHMW sidewall to it, and then I'll bang it off with a hammer. And in a lot of cases, the bond won't actually break. It will be the wood core itself actually splitting apart, which is pretty crazy. And so if you don't do the surface treatment beforehand, you can just break it off like by hand, basically.
Yeah, that's why it's important to test all materials before using them.
It's important to test all your materials and that you know what you're doing. Because before this, the super glue, I was using like a 2-part epoxy, but it was costing me $15 per pair of skis, or like $20 per pair of skis in epoxy to glue the sidewalls on.
Yeah, it's pretty expensive.
Which is expensive, yeah. And the bond isn't as good as super glue.
Yeah, plastics are weird.
Yeah, plastic is freaking bizarre, man. You got to talk to somebody that knows what they're doing.
Yeah. That's good you went on a tour and you found the answer right there.
Absolutely, yeah. Because I don't know if those answers. I hadn't come across that answer in the ski forums yet. Wood and plastic are very different types of materials, so it's hard to get them to marry up nicely.
It is. I got another question for you for top sheets.
Yeah.
I see that your dye sublimation your own. Are you printing them in-house, or are you having them outsourced and you're just transferring them over yourself?
Yeah, so I outsource the printing. I'm just not doing enough to buy like a sublimation printer myself. But yeah, so the sublimation, I was experimenting. I knew that process existed, and I think had figured out that it was probably like the easiest one, or the one that was easiest for me to like get access to without messing around with like the adhesion between the top sheet and the core. Because I think you can like screen print and other stuff where you're kind of like putting ink on the bottom of a clear top sheet and then putting a clear top sheet on top of a core. Like J skis, for instance, they'll sublimate, but on the bottom of a clear top sheet, whereas I sublimate on the top of a white top sheet. But either way, I came across sublimation as a potential way to get graphics on, and I was using clear top sheet for like my first few pairs of skis, because that's just what I was able to get online from where I got my base and my edges from. But I had a lot of trouble sublimating onto the bottom of a clear top sheet and kind of finding out those, fine tuning the process to get it good. I was basically like cooking my material, and so I was ruining the top sheet material so I couldn't stick it onto the ski. But yeah, so I was able to source white top sheet and I sublimate onto the white top sheet just from an outsourced printer company that I work with, who actually CNCs my templates as well. And they make stickers for me, but they do sublimation printing. And then I was kind of able to work with them, work with ChatGPT to figure out like what settings work best for transfer. And then I had to, like, I can't afford to build the sublimation press on my own. And most sublimation presses you buy are for like t-shirts or like smaller stuff. So you can't get one in like the awkward size that a ski is. So I had to retrofit my ski press into a sublimation press. And so that actually works surprisingly well. That was a whole chapter of R&D last year as well, because like in a natural entrepreneurial way, you kind of like, you sell something before you even know if you can really do it or not. So I had sold all these skis and I didn't know if I could actually get the graphics on there. So I spent lots of time and lots of money figuring out that process, but I got it nailed to the point where it's like pretty much repeatable now, I would say.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You kind of committed to something and found a way to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And I almost gave up. I actually, through this whole experience, I've found that you're really, when you're on the edge of giving up is probably when you're closest to like figuring something out. Like I had like sent emails to the guys that I bought the top sheet from. I need to outsource these top sheets to you guys. Like, how much is it going to be on what timeline? And they were like, oh, it's going to be way too expensive and way too far in the future. And I was kind of just like, fuck, I need to figure this out then. And so I was like, yeah, just was able to finally figure it out. It was actually like a combination of ideas that I was playing with. I don't know why I didn't combine them in the first place, but just as a kind of a Hail Mary effort, combined the two ways I was trying to attack a problem, and it was the combination that ended up solving it.
And what was the combination? Heat, pressure?
Well, yes, exactly. So the problem with my ski press is that I can only get it so high in temperature, because when I had the heat system designed, I had to design it for like 120 volts so I could plug it into my wall. And so that limits like how much juice you can draw. And so that affects like how quickly you can bring it to temperature and like how high of a temperature you can get it to. The first iteration was, I'll just put the plastic and the sublimation print into the ski press as it is, and fucking pray to God that it gets hot enough and it's in there long enough that it transfers. And so I was like, what ended up happening is that I wasn't able to get the heat blanket hot enough as it just is in the press, with like the outside ambient temperature, to get like a proper transfer. So then I was like, like how can I get more heat? I was like, okay, fuck, like what if I take the heat blanket out of the press and sandwich it in between insulation? So kind of like a denser insulation. So I went to Home Depot, bought this insulation, made this like table bed thing, and I was able to get the heat blanket hot enough if it was inside of this insulation. But then the problem was I wasn't able to get enough pressure to get the ink to transfer like evenly and nicely across the whole length of the ski. I had gone through like all the top sheet material I bought for the year or for the sales that I had in pre-sale. Went through all that. It cost me $30 to get a graphic printed. And so I had gone through like 10 graphics, call it. And I was just like, holy shit, I can't figure this out. Like I need to figure out how to get these graphics done properly. And then so finally it took me taking the insulation, putting it into the ski press, and then using everything together to finally get a transfer that was good enough to like go on a pair of skis.
So now that's repeatable.
And now that's repeatable, yeah. And then there's a whole fucking dance with like, because the other thing too is like you have to preheat the plastic top sheet, because when you expose it to heat, it grows. And so when you first put it in there, it doesn't grow all evenly, so it gets all wrinkled. And so you have to kind of preheat it, let it normalize. And then you can't have the sublimation print in there as it's doing that, because it's hot enough in the press that the ink will actually start like jumping off the paper and kind of like ghosting into random places on the top sheet. So you have to like preheat the top sheet, make sure it normalizes, and then you kind of like slide it out, put the paper on, and then slide everything back in, and then apply the pressure. And so once I figured out that I was like getting close, then I kind of like fine-tuned all of those little things too. And so now it's at the point where it's repeatable, definitely.
Nice. And it probably felt pretty good having one come out that was perfect, right?
Yeah, it was like relief at that point,
Yeah.
right? You're like, oh my God, look, like I can actually like make one pair and we'll try and do the rest, right? So
Yeah, nicely done.
thank you.
Kind of wind you down on questions. What cores? Or do you have like a certain type of wood you usually use, or do you are experimenting, or you just kind of have it set what you're using?
So a lot of the research that I had done prior to building skis were like, and the skis that I liked and I wanted to emulate were poplar. It wasn't like, yeah, they were like mostly poplar, sometimes like Polonia or sometimes like aspen, this kind of thing. And so, but there was enough information out there for me to feel confident that 100% poplar would be like good. And so all the skis that I've built so far have been 100% poplar, because it emulates the skis that I want to try to recreate or be close to. But most importantly, I can go to the lumberyard and get some on basically at any point next year. And so I do my own cores, and it's funny, like you kind of get into this. I'm so naive to what the industry is like. Like I'm just like, fuck, I'll just try and make skis. Fuck it. And so like outsourcing cores never even occurred to me when it came to making my own skis. I'm like, okay, this is like pretty much the core of the ski, pun intended. I need to like figure out how to do this. So I went sourced materials, figured out how to profile it, figured out how to like cut it to the shape that I needed, all this stuff. And it wasn't until talking to another guy that had started a ski company, and he was like, oh, I assume you outsource your cores. Like, where are you getting your cores from? I was like, what? No, I didn't even think of that. But I still do my own cores, 100% poplar. The manufacturing partner that I'm with, they do their own cores as well, and they use maple. So for this season, the twins will be maple core. That is their like proprietary blend of how they build their skis. My stuff will be poplar. In the future, I would like to kind of harmonize that like across the lineup, to have like one core material across the lineup, depending on what we're doing. But a lot of skis made in Canada use like Canadian maple, so I'm definitely comfortable with that. And then all the skis I've made so far have been with poplar, and that performs really well too.
Yeah, and poplar mill's really nice too.
Poplar is workable. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't done a lot of stuff with maple myself, so I didn't want to like at the last minute like reintroduce a maple core into my process because it like takes a while to figure out all that stuff, right? Like similar to with the sublimation, like there's all these like little tricks and little miniature processes that you have to do while you're kind of profiling the cores and cutting them out, making sure that you're getting like dimensionally good stuff. To change cores internally, it would be a lot of work that I haven't done yet. And so this year, poplar for my stuff.
Yeah. And yeah, maple is much different than poplar. Just like
Yeah.
on tools alone, you can burn through tools way faster with it.
Yeah, definitely.
Any future prototypes or any kind of skis you're working on that you're excited about?
I'm really excited about the directional skis for this year. The K2 Pinnacle 95s that I talked about early on that kind of changed the way that I see skiing. They were just like directional, all mountain, 95 underfoot, pretty aggressive side cut, lots of rocker. And those skis don't exist anymore. And so I've done my best to improve upon all the things that I thought maybe could be improved upon, but also recreate a lot of the things that I really loved about it and enabled me to, get the most out of them on the limited time that I had on them. So I'm really excited for the directional skis to come out because those are skis that, like I will just ski every single chance that I get. The Swallowtails this year are really good too. I worked with that was like a joint development between me and a customer of mine actually, where we kind of we wanted to create a ski of a similar vision. And so we worked together in doing that. And so those will be really great too. They're like my first kind of attempt, I would say, at a special edition. And we'll see if they stick around or not. I think they probably will. But for the future, I would say that I'm excited to work on some of like the Vision Quest projects that I have for the business and really kind of like immersing myself more in like the value chain that I said, get more into the industry and like understand more about that and see what comes. But I mean, for right now, because we're so early and we're so new, really just focusing on like creating the best product we can for the people that we're trying to create it for and focusing on that. And I mean, we'll see what the future holds.
Just kind of focusing on what you got going.
Yeah.
The shape of those swallowtails are really nice. I was looking at
Oh,
them.
thank you.
Yeah, it's like that shape and that swallowtail, it all kind of works nicely together.
Yeah, yeah. Because I think there's something about skis. Like cars are such a big industry. Everyone's into cars, right? And I think it's like that perfect for cars, it's the perfect intersection of like function and form, right? You can look at it and it's like this beautiful art piece sometimes, right? But then you can also, it has like a lot of functionality. You can like get in, you can use it as a tool, you can drive it, right? And I think like cars are kind of like the ultimate example of like where form and function kind of come together. But I think skis are a really good example of that as well. Where, obviously there's functionality. You want them to be functional. You want them to be able to do what you want them to do and use them as a tool. But they're also like this beautiful thing that you can like look at and admire and like belong on a wall, right? As a piece of art. And so I think there's something really inspiring about that intersection of form and function. But to your point, like I think the shape of a ski is as important as like the graphic when it comes to visual appeal. And you want to like look at it and you want to make you feel like you're looking at like something beautiful and you want to like interact with it, right? And so thank you for saying that because it goes into the design process. Like if I'm shaping that swallowtail, it's like, okay, what is this gonna feel like on snow? But what does it look like? Like it has to look right. And the proportions have to be right and it can't look like weird. So it's like an equal piece almost to it because you want to make like beautiful things.
want to make something beautiful that performs beautifully.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have this weird thing with skis that are like, if I get a new pair of skis, I like put them on the wall and I fucking sit and look at them. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I do the same.
Yeah. And I like touch them and look at them and as closely as I can and all this stuff. Like it's, yeah. So I want to build stuff that people will do the same with, for sure.
Yeah, that's a good goal to have.
Yeah.
All right, so these kind of like rapid fire questions, kind of like
Sure.
just quick ones, like kind of wrap up the interview here. What's your favorite resort?
Smuggler's Notch. It's not the biggest. It has like very popular, like very infamous fixed doubles on every lift is a fixed double, but it's like the only place that I've gone my entire life, and it's just never changed in the best way possible. I look forward to going every year, and like I talk about this with my brother, who's like been there with me the whole time, where it's like I would take like a 12-inch northeast pow day at Smugs over like anything anywhere else in the entire world.
No, I understand that. Powder Smug's a little different because less people on the trails. It's fairly steep everywhere.
Yeah. Great terrain. Yeah.
Yeah, the glades are
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Yeah. So Smuggler's Notch.
All right. Then, if you could ski with anyone, who would it be?
Uh dude, I was thinking about this. I think you might have asked this in your last interview and I was thinking about what my answer would be, but I would say my dad.
Your dad? All right.
Yeah. I was like that just feels like the right answer.
Yeah, I can see why
And
you
I
got
do
you.
get to ski with my dad. It's not like
Yes.
he's gone, but yeah, it's just the best.
Yeah. So you get to spend time with your dad and doing the things that you guys love.
That is exactly it.
All right. Then, one piece of advice you'll give to future builders about getting started.
I would say just start, especially like if you want to build and that's it, and like you don't really have ambition to start a business out of it, definitely start. Um, but if you are like wanting to make a business out of it or sell them or like do something different, just like get started. Like I sat on this idea, like I thought of it in like 2019. And I just like thought of it and thought of it. And, oh, what if I do this? And what if I do that? And then I like bumbled around for a few years before actually like taking action and working on this. And I look back and wonder, I'm like, fuck, like what if I was in year 5 right now of the business? Like what would it look like? So I would say just start. The other piece of advice is like get a partner or a group of guys that all kind of have the same vision and work together on working something out. I don't know if I like wish I had a partner or started with a partner because I'm kind of like a prickly guy, I think, and I like to try things my way first at least. And I have the propensity sometimes to think that I'm always right. I'm definitely not. But I think having a partner in an undertaking like this is like super valuable. And if I ever start any more businesses in the future, I'll definitely have a partner.
No, that was good advice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Where can people find Type 2 skis? Like website, social media?
Yes, type2ski.co is the website. Type2ski.co at Type2SkiCo on Instagram. When is this coming out?
Maybe a week or two.
All right. Well, Merchapalooza might still be on unless we're sold out. Right now, selling merch like this hat or like this t-shirt whose branding you might recognize, and maybe we'll get a cease and desist. That would be a win in my books. But you can buy this merch. Every piece of merch that you buy gets you 1 vote into a giveaway for a free pair of twins. If you buy 3 pieces of merch, you get 5 votes. Free shipping on anything over $120 Canadian, and pre-sale version 2 launches August 2nd. Type2ski.co.
Awesome. So that's good, like giveaway and
Yeah. And clean out all the merch so I can start making cooler stuff. Because that's the other thing too. I think that like there's an opportunity to make like cool, stylish clothing and not just crap for the sake of having it. So like the hats, for instance, I bought like 10 different hats and was like, okay, I like this one the best. I like the way it looks. I like the way it feels. This is going to be the one. And then the embroidery I have to do separately, which is this whole other thing. But at the end of the day, you get like a pretty good piece of merch. And so that I've had people kind of complain about, oh, why would I pay $40 for like a hat? It's not just some crap. It's pretty good. And I want you to wear it and I want you to be comfortable. I want you to look good. And I want you to feel good. That's the same with the skis.
yeah. And it looks like it's a raised embroidery.
Yeah, it's not raised. I think this one's still flat.
Okay.
But my embroidery guy gave me some tips, and so it's very high quality thread count, this kind of stitch and that. It's not just to the cheapest bidder that I source this stuff. I want to wear it. I want the people that buy it to wear it as well. So
Yeah, you want good products all around.
exactly.
Awesome. All right. It's been nice talking to you.
Yeah, man. Thank you very much for doing this.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for
having
coming
me.
on.
Yeah.
All right. Take care.
Yeah, you too. See ya.
Hope you guys enjoyed that interview with Zach from Type 2 Skis. And again, a big thanks to Zach for coming on to the podcast. Next week, we have Chad from Sunrise Snow Surf talking about his paddleboards. Hope you all have a good one, and thanks, Snow.